Hey guys, welcome back to Squishy Sundays. Hope you had a great Easter and a great couple of weeks. Tonight I'm going to be delving into one of my favorite topics, hockey. The Stanley Cup playoffs are the best part of the year, hands down. I mean, it's spring, you know that school's ending soon, you get to see some really intense hockey. So, tonight I'll be sharing with you some of my, I would say predictions, but I'm very biased. So I'll be sharing with you my predictions and my hopes for this year's playoffs. In the Western Conference, we have a matchup between Los Angeles and Vancouver. Vancouver is that team that everyone loves to hate. Even though they're ranked first in the Western Conference this year, I think they're going to choke, and I hope that Roberto Luongo cries again. Another matchup that we have is San Jose versus St. Louis. San Jose is 7, by the way, and St. Louis is ranked 2nd. I personally am pulling for St. Louis. I just think they really have what it takes this year. They've got good defense. I love Yaroslav Halak. They have plenty of guys that can score, and they're really, really tough. So that toughness is definitely something that'll help pull them through, I think. I really think they can make it far this year, not to mention the fact that I hate the Sharks. Do you want the honest truth? I think that the Sharks are going to choke big time, just like Vancouver. My favorite matchup in the Western Conference is this next one. Chicago, yeah, Hawks, is number 6, and they are playing the 3rd-ranked Coyotes. Now, being from Chicago, I'm extremely biased about this one. Hawks all the way. Not only do I want the Hawks to win, I know they're going to win, because Phoenix really doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, whereas we have had a ton in recent years, so I'm not going to worry about it. And finally, the last matchup in the Western Conference this year is Detroit versus Nashville. Now, again, I am very biased when it comes to this matchup. I can tell you who I want to win, and then I'll tell you who I think's going to win. I really want Nashville to win. I'm a big fan of Pekka Rinne, and I think Detroit is scum. So, hopefully, they can make a miracle happen. But, in the end, I think Detroit is going to knock them out quite easily. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, and maybe Nashville will win like I want. But when it comes down to it, Detroit has a very, very deep team. They have a ton of playoff experience, and they have Mike Babcock. And even though I'm definitely not a fan of his, he knows how to get things done. Moving on to the Eastern Conference. The first matchup is number 8 Ottawa versus the Rangers, who are in first. While the Senators are kind of an team, the series is 1-1 right now, I do believe. And upsets are possible. This is going to be a very interesting series to watch. I'm really excited for it. And I'm pretty neutral. The next series that we have is number 7 Washington versus number 2 Boston. Now, those of you that watch a lot of hockey or just follow sports know that the Boston Bruins are the defending Stanley Cup champs. Whether or not they can repeat is a big question mark. I personally think that Washington has the potential to upset them if they play to their best potential. I'm not saying that I want Washington to win because I despise Alex Ovechkin, but again, this should be an interesting series to watch. This could go either way, in my opinion. Next, we have the number 6 New Jersey Devils versus the number 3 Florida Panthers. This is a really interesting matchup, in my opinion. The Florida Panthers have not been in the playoffs in 12 years. And even though they're ranked higher than New Jersey is a gritty team. They have a lot of great players. They've got Brodeur, they've got Kovalchuk, and they've got playoff experience, which is something that the Panthers lack. However, I do have to say that I'm pulling for them. They took Dale Talon from Chicago, okay, and you see what he did for us. He did a very nice job. And they've got a bunch of our guys down there. They've got Kopetsky, they've got Versteeg, they've got Campbell. I really would like to see them go further than the first round this year. And finally, perhaps the most interesting and intense matchup this year of either conference is that between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. This has gotten ugly already. The Flyers are stomping the bejesus out of the Penguins, which I am very disappointed about. Again, I am very biased. I love Sidney Crosby. I'm a big Malkin fan. I love Dan Bylsma. I really would like the Pittsburgh Penguins to pull it off. But if they don't get their act together, they're going to be out. So, who do I think is going to win the Cup this year? Who do I think is going to go to the finals? Well, I don't think that Boston is going to make it to the finals again this year. I do think that they will go pretty deep in the playoffs. Ultimately, from the East, I predict that Philly is going to make the finals this year. People underestimate Philly because they don't necessarily look like the most skilled team, and they're not the highest ranked, but they're really gritty, and when they're on their A game, they will take anyone out. They're very, very fast, and they do have a decent amount of talent on their team. In terms of the Western Conference, I really do hope that the Hawks make the finals this year, but I don't know if they have the potential. Jonathan Toews just came back from missing over 20 games, and our goaltending is definitely shaky. If they can get their act together, they have a legitimate shot because they have the experience and they have the talent. I don't think it's in the cards for them this year. Who am I really pulling for? Who do I think has a legitimate shot? St. Louis. I would love to see the Blues get it this year. Some pretty good goaltending. They have Yaroslav Halak, who is one of my personal favorites, and Elliott is his backup. He's pretty good. Defense is pretty solid. Got TJ Oshie. That man knows how to score some goals. They've got a lot of guys that are not afraid to drop the gloves. Ultimately, I think the Blues can pull it off. But with the playoffs, you never know. Number 8s have beaten out number 1s, and underdogs who have just barely made the playoffs by the skin of their teeth have just as good of a chance at getting that cup as the teams that are ranked first in their conference. My parting words of wisdom are this: may the Stanley Cup playoff odds be ever in your favor.